Do you have to worry about your scoliosis when you stop growing? Scoliosis is a progressive condition. It's its very nature to get worse over time. Scoliosis gets worse means that the size of the Cobb angle or the curvature is getting larger and the effects are becoming more severe and it's becoming more apparent visually outwardly in the body. Scoliosis ranges widely in severity from mild to moderate to severe and very severe cases depending on the size of the Cobb angle. Now, we don't always know what triggers scoliosis develop in most cases, but we do know growth tends to make scoliosis progress. This is where patients' age is very important because young patients, when they're still growing, can face rapid progression. And because of this, the most common type of scoliosis that's diagnosed is something called adolescent idiopathic scoliosis. And this is normally diagnosed between 10 and reaching skeletal maturity, and the age is considered somewhere around 18 years of age. This adolescent idiopathic scoliosis is a type of scoliosis that we can't tell you why it's happening. It's for idiopathic reasons, unknown reasons that the curve is developing. Adolescents are at most risk for rapid progression because this is because of their rapid phase of growth that occurs during puberty. Now, unfortunately, we don't always catch every case of scoliosis, meaning many cases go undiagnosed. As the patient grows, the curve may stay under 20 degrees, and a lot of cases that are under 25 degrees, under 30 degrees, you can't see it visually. And since most kids that develop scoliosis experience no pain or discomfort, the patient can't say, hey, my back hurts or my spine hurts, and they go have an evaluation and they can find scoliosis. A lot of times they don't know what's happening, so they go undiagnosed. And when they go undiagnosed, they go into the adult stage and they don't know they actually have it. And there was a time that adult scoliosis was thought not to evolve or not to progress. So many patients that were diagnosed with scoliosis were told not to worry about it. And then patients that didn't know they have scoliosis didn't know what was happening either. However, since then, we've learned that scoliosis is a very common condition that goes undiagnosed in childhood, but starts causing problems in the adult form because it increases as patients get older. And what we're finding out is that this is happening for many different reasons. But we're also learning that as the age population increases, the category of age that we look at, we're seeing increased rates of scoliosis. So in children, we may see 3 to 5%, but in patients over 60, we're seeing 30% of patients over 60 have scoliosis. So what's happening is that a lot of patients that are not getting diagnosed are finding out that they have scoliosis later on in life because of the slow progression that occurs in the adult form. And this progression occurs very, very, very slowly and accumulates over time. And it can happen again for many, many different reasons. And as the age group continues to increase, so does the percentage of patients associated with scoliosis. So telling a patient with adolescent idiopathic scoliosis that when you stop growing, not to worry about it, it's one of the worst recommendations that could ever be given. We know scoliosis progresses because of two main reasons. One is because of something called spinal degeneration. Now, spinal degeneration has two factors associated with it. Patients that actually have scoliosis, their spine will degenerate abnormally, but also patients that could develop degeneration because of another reason. Something happens to the spine and causes the discs in between the bone to start to degenerate. When these discs degenerate abnormally, the adjacent spinal structures, meaning the vertebrae above and below, also become out of line. Now, these discs act as not only cushioning structures to act as shock absorbers, but they help affect the shape of the spine. And once these discs become degenerated, they become dehydrated, they change shape. Like I mentioned, they affect position. And these degenerative discs can now start contributing towards many different problems, typically in the lumbar spine, but uncorrected or undealt with, it can lead to degenerative scoliosis, which is truly an adult onset. So these are patients that did not have scoliosis in the adolescent form, but now develop it in the adult form because of this degenerative situation that's occurring in their spine. In addition, patients that had scoliosis as a child and didn't know they had it, or even once it did it, we know scoliosis now becomes a compressive condition once they're fully mature. So instead of growth causing rapid progression, gravity is compressing the spine, putting down pressure on an unsymmetrical spine. And then as the curve worsens in the adult form, this is where it becomes compressive and this is where it becomes painful. But it takes years for this to happen. Normally it doesn't happen like, 1 year into adult stage. It can take 20, 30 years. The most common age, somewhere between 40 and 50 years of age, patients start experiencing pain. They go in and get an x-ray done and they find out they have scoliosis and they never knew they had it. So a lot of patients get diagnosed with scoliosis, actually adolescent scoliosis, and they didn't even know they had it in the adolescent stage. This is very common. I see this a lot with adult patients. And the reason why they're experiencing or finding it is because of now they're experiencing pain when in a child they were not. So unfortunately, scoliosis is not a static condition in any age of life. In adolescence, adult stage, it always progresses. It tends to snowball, is what I like to say, is that in the adolescent form, it has the rapid phase, but once you're in the adult form, once you're done growing, it progresses slowly and it increases the rate of progression as the curve becomes bigger. So as the curve becomes bigger and the patient becomes older, it starts going faster and faster and faster. Scoliosis is uncurable. There's no cure for scoliosis, but it is highly treatable. And the best way to manage the progression is to treat a scoliosis as soon as you know it's there. Smaller curves, younger patients always get better responses than older patients with bigger curves. So therefore, scoliosis always becomes more complex to treat as the patient gets older and as the curve gets worse. Here at Scoliosis Reduction Center, we take very pride in our conservative treatment to scoliosis. And since our treatment is very conservative, we can apply it immediately following diagnosis, and we can treat curves when they're in their mildest form, because that's when we expect them to respond the best. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this information helpful. If you have any questions about this topic or other scoliosis questions, type in the comments below and let us know. And finally, subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of when we publish new videos just like this.